He didn't get the memo.
All right, plan calls to meeting order. First item is roll call.
Alderman Arnold.
Here.
Alderman Bass.
Here.
Alderman Cleaver.
Here.
Alderman Knox.
Here.
Alderman Mills.
Here.
Alderman Skinner.
Here.
There's a quorum.
Next item is invocation led by Pastor Mike Cassidy of Faith United Methodist Church, followed by a pledge of allegiance from Alderman Mills.
Let's pray. Gracious God, we thank you always for this opportunity to gather together. I thank you for the leaders that you've called up to serve this community, Lord, to serve your people. May they hear from you tonight. May your spirit blow in this place that we might do your will, that we might do good in this world and in this community. Be with us in our time, and as we go about our lives, Lord, help us to sow peace and hope and harmony in this place. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next item is the approval of the agenda.
No changes, Mayor.
Seeing no proclamations, we'll move on to citizens' participation. We ask any citizens who wish to address the board come forward to the podium and microphone, and please give your name and address for the record. Do we have anyone who wishes to address the board this evening? Seeing none, move on to the consent agenda.
Mayor, I move that we accept the consent agenda.
We have a motion from Alderman Skinner to accept the consent agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Alderman Knox. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Seeing no previous business, we'll move on to new business. First up is request to approve the 2022-2023 liquor license renewals for the following businesses. Read all those.
B&B Theaters, Captain's Pub, all three Casey's General Stores, Cosentino's Price Chopper, Discount Liquor and Smokes, Dollar General Store, El Tequilazzo, Impact Motorsports, Iron Kettle, JY Amigos, Outer Belt Entertainment, Quick Trip, Temp Stop, and the Pub and Patio. All of these have submitted their applications for the year. The police department have reviewed the applications and saw no issues with any of the renewals. We're requesting permission to approve these liquor licenses and issue the 2022-2023 licenses for the year. There are some of them we are waiting for the state and the county licenses to come in, so we will not issue until we receive those outstanding requirements. But other than that, everything else has been turned in.
Does anyone have any questions for? All right, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve these licenses.
So moved.
Motion from Alderman Arnold. A second.
I second.
Second, Alderman Skinner. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Next up then is a catering liquor license for the Grand Valley Fair Beer Garden, and the date with that would be September 9th and 10th. 10th, 11th there. And that'd be for Outer Belt Entertainment doing business as Mo Country.
I do have the application for the temporary catering liquor license for Mo Country for those dates. They did supply a diagram. They are wanting to set up under the pavilion like they have in the past. They are not doing the things out in the field again this year, as some of you might remember from last year. So it would just be under the pavilion area. They will fence that in, including the signage saying, you know, no liquor beyond this point. And everything is in good order for this one as well. So looking for a motion to approve that to sell on city property.
I just kind of give everyone idea what's going on here. The Grand Valley Partnership in the past has run the beer garden. They decided they not want to do that this year. The Grand Valley Fair Board met, and we didn't really want to get into the business of running a beer garden. So Mo Country graciously, you know, volunteered to do that for us. So I figured that was the best way to do it. That the professionals at that, not anyone else. So Like she said, the fencing will be up, the signage will be up, so it'll be the same as it has been in the past. So, anyone have any questions or discussion?
Mo Country, is that,
The one down the outer road?
yeah, clear on, yeah. I can't think of what they used to call it, but okay.
It's been a bunch of different. Whiskey Tango
Whiskey
before
Tango.
that, and
There you go, thank you.
Cheers 21 at one point, no place, I think. It's been so, yeah, we've had a really good working relationship with the current owners of it, so.
On their insurance, have they added the city and park as additional insured?
For your, I know the fair will have it as well, but will you list City of Grand Valley on your?
I don't think it's a problem to add that on.
Okay. Yeah, the fair will have the insurance too, it says it, so.
All right, sounds good.
Any other questions or discussion? All right, seeing none, then all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right, next up then is presentations. We have an audit presentation by Pavement and Company.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the Board of Aldermen. Good to see you this evening. I will tell you that I diligently prepared my notes for the presentation and completely left them at home on my desk. Now, I know what I want to say. I just may be off on some of the page references, so bear with me. But first of all, we want to thank you for the opportunity. I'm Butch Beeman, the managing partner of Beeman and Company, and our firm has completed the independent audit of the city of Green Valley's financial statements for the year ended December 31, 2021, and you have this packet of stuff in front of you. Those that have been here before obviously don't cover the whole thing. I mean, you're out of that. But any questions, please, do any time during my presentation, because I'm informal. Just raise your hand, yell out. If I know the answer, I'll tell you, and if I don't, just channel it through Stephen and have answers for you right away. But you should know that your staff, Ken, Stephen, Mallory, Jamie, all the folks that we interact with during the course of the audit, are very cooperative, responsive, and helped make the audit run very smoothly. Well, all yours, but it went real smoothly. Sorry. So if you will turn to page 1, it's the independent auditor's report. And what I want to highlight is in the first section called opinions. We have audited the financial statements of the city. I'm not going to as of the year ended December 31 and the related notes to the financial statements, which collectively comprise the city's basic financial statements. In our opinion, the financial statements present fairly in all material respects the respective financial position in accordance with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States of America. So what I just said is that our firm conducted an audit. It's in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards, and then we rendered an opinion, and it's the highest level of opinion that a CPA firm can render. It's called unqualified or clean opinion, and we say that your financial statements present fairly. So that way, anybody that's relying on them, whether it could be management, whether it's the trustee of some of your debt, whether it's just a third party looking to buy your debt, or someone that may be interested in entering into some sort of financial arrangement with the development and so on, they can rely on these numbers to help them make a decision about whatever it is they're thinking about. And so, basis for the opinion, you need to know that when we do an audit in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards, we do a lot. I mean, Stephen and his team was responsible for giving us the trial balance, and many other things, but we send confirmations to your bankers to confirm the balance that they say that you have and compare that to the books. We confirm the authorized check signers to make sure that as people rotate through on the Board of Aldermen, that we don't have dated people approved to be signers. We send confirmations to the city attorney We're looking for information from him regarding lawsuits or legal matters that might have an impact on the financial statements. We've seen confirmations to all the trustees of your debt to make sure that, this I say, this is how much the city owes us. Oh, well, does that agree with the city's records? And so on. We're also doing, that would be more confirmation work, but we're also doing vouching, tying out invoices, tracing it to individual transactions. Did they have the correct approval? Was it budgeted? So those types of things. We also are looking at some compliance matters. I mentioned the check signers. I mean, that's a compliance with, obviously your city ordinances, but state statutes that you only have authorized signatures on bank accounts. We also look at, and I'll touch on this, but I'll just touch on it now. We also take a look at your relationship with the bankers, and you often, always, have more cash in the bank than FDIC insurance. And so state statute requires you to see to it that the bank pledges appropriate collateral so that, heaven forbid, something happens to the bank, the city is not out any money. And I'm pleased to tell you, and it's in footnote number 2, that we did test that and the city was fully collateralized. All city deposits were secure, no issues there. We also test compliance with your debt instruments. When you borrow money, the city enters into, usually it's called the bond covenants, and you agree to do things like for instance, if we're talking about the utilities, you agree to maintain appropriate insurance on those facilities. So again, if something happens, you also agree to a rate covenant because those types of bonds are revenue bonds. They're paid with the revenue generated from the utilities. And so you agree to a rate covenant, and that helps assure anybody buying your debt that you're going to see to it that the rates are set to cover all the operating expenses and debt service. We test that, and you satisfy your rate covenant, no issues there. You also agree to deposit certain monies, be it monthly, semi-annually, or annually, into what's often called restricted assets, debt service, repairs and maintenance. There's several of them, but we test that, and you're fully in compliance with all of your covenants. So there's a lot going on in the course of an audit, but at the end of the day, we rendered our opinion, and we say things are fairly presented. Folks can rely on that, whatever that might be. On page 6, page 4. Statement of net position. Think of this as the balance sheet of the city as of the end of your fiscal year 2021. Pooled cash and cash equivalents. They're broken down by governmental funds, which is everything other than the utilities. And you can see that in total, you had $20.7 million of unrestricted cash. That's approximately $450,000 more than a year ago. And then you see the next line item, the cash that's restricted. That goes back to partly what I just mentioned a while ago, these restricted monies that you have to set aside monthly, semi-annually, annually, to make sure there's money there to service the debt, the interest, and make sure that if some significant repair comes up, that money's there. You also collect a deposit from the citizens when they hook up to your utilities, and that has to be set aside in restricted cash because they obviously get it back when they discontinue service if they are current with respect to their bill. The next page, the one that you have to turn sideways to look at, statement of activities. This one, it's kind of I don't really like the format, but it's not my choice. It's the Government Accounting Standards Board dictates the format. But what I would highlight is that third line from the bottom, change in net position. The third column from the right, but on that line, you can see that the governmental activities, again, everything but utilities, increased $3.4 million this year. Very strong performance, some things going on. General government expenditures were down this year, approximately $300,000. The single biggest item helping that out is interest on long-term debt. A year ago, you'll remember you did some advance refundings and restructured some debt and saved the city significant amount of interest, well over $1 million. Then in the proprietary, the utility funds, that third line item, change in net position increased just shy of $1 million. Most of that, well, excuse me, I shouldn't say that. I mean, you had water and sewer operations were generally pretty similar to last year, but it was higher, certainly, and then a little bit in miscellaneous revenue more than a year. So really, the city had a strong performance in that respect. I would then shift your attention over to the footnotes that start on page 40, 30, 20, 28, 20. I told you I wouldn't have the page numbers right. Apologize for that. Somebody gets there before me, just yell it out. We start on page 19 and go on to like page, I don't know, 60, whatever, way up there. Lots of information. And now this is not creative writing for Pavement and Company. These are items of disclosure that are required by generally accepted accounting principles based on if you have these items in your financial statements. And so I want to highlight one we just talked, most of which we just talked about. But if you go to page 28, note number 2, deposits and investments. We talk about the carrying balances of the city's cash on hand at the end of the year, and that the bank balances of demand deposits were fully covered with a combination of FDIC insurance and pledged collateral held in the name of the city. All deposits were held by a qualified depository institution. That's important to you all in your fiduciary capacity as you represent the citizens of Green Valley, but then it's also important to the citizens and, again, the trustees of your debt and anyone else that's interested in doing business with the city. You have a lot going on in your debt footnote that starts on page 38. I would highlight there that on page 38, under the governmental activities, you retired $2.1 million of debt. And in the business type activities, frankly, there's just hardly any debt at all. In fact, not any real true debt in the sense of the word, whether bonds or capital leases, that type of thing. And then we go into a long dialogue on page 42, but throughout the information there, we talk about the covenants that you're required to comply with, and the fact that, as I said earlier, you do. I really don't have anything else to highlight, frankly, in the footnotes. As I said earlier, please jump in with any questions. The last document, or the second document that you have, is not bound, and it's communication to those charged with governance. This particular document came about back in the days of Enron, WorldCom, some major collapses in public. And the auditing standards people said, we think that when auditors are out doing their job, they're interacting a lot with management and staff, and maybe not much with the board of directors, or in your case, the board of aldermen. And that's true. I mean, you guys have jobs, you full-time, you're not out here during the course of the audit, and that's not really your role. But nonetheless, you're responsible. And so that's why this report came about, to tell you certain things about the audit or about the relationship between management and ourselves. And one of you, I don't remember who, was also lucky enough to be selected to be interviewed by one of the members of our audit team, because we interview a member of governance, member of management, and then an employee. Primarily centered around fraud, just in case, are you aware of anything? Do you know how it might happen? But again, we're having that interaction with the board members. And so that's what this report is saying. And I just would highlight 2 or 3 things in there. We're required to tell you if there were any disagreements with management or staff during the course of performing the audit. There were none. We have to tell you if there were any difficulties in performing the audit. Maybe they weren't responsive to our requests for information, maybe there were delays in getting documents, whatever the case may be. No difficulties whatsoever. Go back to my opening comments, and I said your folks were very responsive and timely with any information requests we made. And then the third thing of importance in there, I believe, is that we're required to tell you if we find out that management consulted with any other CPA firm during the course of the year. What that means is, in basic terms, is it's opinion shopping. Let's say they called me or a member of the audit team and said, we're getting ready to do da-da-da, or we want to book this transaction this way. What do you think? And we give them our professional answer, and they go, that really wasn't the answer we wanted to hear. We'd like to do something a little different. And so perhaps they contact another CPA firm to see if they can get a different answer. And so if we become aware of any instance of that, we have to tell you. And so anyway, we did not become aware of any instance of that. There's dialogue certainly between us during the year, but we no evidence that management did anything like that. And so I would tell you that, from our perspective, it was a very clean audit. It went well. We've got a good team that we work with. Hopefully none of them leave anytime soon. And so, we appreciate the opportunity to be of service to the city of Green Valley and serve as your auditor. Again, I said, if you've got any questions, please jump in.
Anyone have any questions?
So what you're saying is we're doing a pretty good job.
Right.
City staff is doing
You
a pretty
people,
good job.
well, collectively, the whole team, I bet you.
Good.
Anything else? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, others. Thank you very much. I'm going to excuse myself and head home, and
Good.
Thank you.
very much.
See no more presentations, no public hearings. Move on to resolutions. First up is resolution R22-50. Resolution by the Board of Aldermen of the City of Grand Valley authorizing the filing of an application with the Missouri Department of Natural Resources Financial Assistance Center State ARPA grant programs for support of federal assistance provided to the state of Missouri by the U.S. Department of Treasury pursuant to Section 602B of the Social Security Act as added by Section 9901 of the American Rescue Act.
You could just summarize.
Perfect.
That's the whole thing. All right.
Mayor, I move that we approve resolution number R22-50.
Got a motion from Alderman Skinner to approve resolution R22-50. Do I have a second?
Second.
Bass. Any discussion?
Mr. Tuttle is going to give an overview of this one.
We were recently made aware by the DNR that they have funds available for water, wastewater, and stormwater projects. And looking over their requirements, I felt that the best chance we had of being competitive was on this one particular box culvert in the stormwater side. Part of the reason is because we have no debt on the water and sewer side, that would count against us. They try to give the money to the folks who have quite a bit of debt. So this seemed to be the most competitive one that we had. The applications are due in July, so I wanted to get this before you as quickly as possible, and I apologize for the title, but that is exactly how DNR said it had to be worded.
Have any questions or discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Next up is Resolution R 22-51, a resolution by the Board of Aldermen of the City of Grand Valley, Missouri, adopting the 2023-2027 Grand Valley Capital Improvements Plan.
Mayor, I move that we accept resolution 22-51.
I have a motion from Alderman Arnold to approve Resolution R 22-51. Do I have a second?
A second.
Second, Alderman Skinner. Total has a presentation for us.
Not quite long enough.
Water cold.
There we go.
I lost it.
PowerPoint there at the bottom, the orange circle.
On the bottom taskbar, on the right. Right,
Your other right.
there you go. Oh,
All right.
Okay, there it is. Got it. Sorry about that. So, the capital improvement plan for 2023 through 2027, we've looked at, there's a number of new projects in it. Primarily what I'm going to show you here is the projects that are either funded or in the funding cycle or in the 5-year plan. There's a whole lot of other projects that are listed that are either beyond the 5-year plan or they're significantly costly projects and they don't have funding sources identified. So it's a flexible planning tool for future capital projects and major purchases. It identifies needed projects, identifies possible funding sources for those projects, and we try to match the project timing to the funding availability. Planned projects, parks and recreation, public works. There's a major purchase for the police department to replace their firearms, and vehicle and equipment replacement. Some of the projects are trails and streets, water and sewer mains, stormwater improvements, and park upgrades. I don't know how well you can see that, but that is the funding sources and how they're laid out through the 5-year plan. As you notice, 2024 is the heaviest, and it's usually the second year that's the heaviest as funds are identified. Projects may move up a year or they may move back further based on that. That's the total list of the projects. It's in the report that you have. Get these things to show up very well because it's a long list. So the first project I want to talk about is the Ryan Meadows sidewalk connecting Cross Creek subdivision to the schools. It's $95,000 in 2023. And it includes the upgrade of the crosswalk on Ryan Road, which was a project that was listed as a goal at the board planning workshop. Second project is the South Buckner Tyrosine Trail. We're in the process of applying for a grant. If the grant is received, it would move this project back to 2025, which is when the funds are available, but currently under design, because that gives you extra points on your grant application. Eagles Parkway, this is another trail. It's also part of the improvements to Eagles Parkway, which would improve the entire roadway. So this is a $586,630 project with design planned in 2024 and construction in 2026. And again, that's pending the grant application approval. Public Works 3 is the downtown Phase 2B street improvements. It's from Front Street, from Kirby to Main. This is another project that was identified in the goal-setting workshop. And the project was designed in 2010, but was never constructed. So the plans will need to be updated. There's been a lot of changes since that time. So the plans will need to be updated, and I don't think too much of the property and easements were acquired at that time. So we'll have to go out and do that as acquisitions, and that's planned for next year with follow-up of construction in 2024, and that's to come from TIF funds, repayment of TIF funds. water tank is a project that would go next to the water tank north of the interstate. That area of town has been the fastest growing area, and that tank that's up there will not be of sufficient capacity to provide storage in the air as well as fire protection after 2025. So this is using ARPA funds to do the design next year and then follow it in 2024 with the construction. And I'm still trying to get a better price estimate on the construction from the different tank companies, but they're not being very responsive at this point in time. Now we'll move to the pavement maintenance program for next year. We have $876,000 planned. $87,600 is in grant funding through MARC, which is coming from the federal government, and they split this funding up amongst all the communities in Jackson County. And so that was City of Green Valley's share. We plan to edge mill and overlay Ryan Road, Snybar Boulevard and Parkway, Blue Branch Drive, Stony Brook Drive, Whitestone Drive, which was also a project that was brought up in the goal-setting workshop, but that's been in this program. Phelps Court, Phelps Drive, Stonebrook Lane, Stonebrook Drive. Portion of Stonebrook Lane was added to this year's program. Finished up Stonebrook Lane, Rock Creek Lane, Rock Creek Drive, and Pebblebrook. In 2024, we would be looking at finishing up the subdivision with Cross Creek Drive and Cross Creek Lane, Addy Lane, Foothill Drive, Oakwood Drive, the portion of Royer Drive up to the traffic circle, Rosewood Drive up to Hedgewood, finish Hedgewood Drive. The first portion of Hedgewood Drive was done in 2020. Ridgeview Drive, Crestview Drive, Logan, Sawgrass Drive, Long Drive, Circle, Magnolia Circle, and Azalea Circle. We also plan to do a micro seal on Walnut Street, try to keep that road from needing a full overlay for the next few years. And then the other part of Royer Drive that won't get the overlay because it's in better shape would also get a micro seal. A 2025 program, Pamela Boulevard, Meadow Court, Bay Tree Drive, Dogwood Drive, Scenic Drive, Lakeview Drive, Primrose Court, Pecan Drive, Theme Street, that's a small portion of Theme Street, Rust Road, Rust Court, the alley west of Capel, Tire Road, Pavilion Drive, small section of Nelson Drive that in all the other projects didn't get done for some reason, and Woodbury Place. Project would also include additional micro sealing for a small section of Front Street between Greg and Main, and then Woodbury Court, because it's in much better condition than Woodbury Place, so it would only get a micro seal. And so 2026 would we would be reducing the edge mill and overlay and increasing patching and sealing of streets, and the overlay includes Ephraim, Elmwood, Gregg Street, Whitney Drive, and Michael Drive. The patch and seal would be Hilltop Lane, Highview Drive, Short Street, which are the original portions of Eagle Ridge, Duncan Road, east of Buckner, Tyrosine, and Dillingham from Crestwood Drive to Argo Street, which is a city street. It was annexed, so to be able to get the old GE factory into the city. This is Eagles Parkway. This is the full project for Eagles Parkway. Design and land acquisition will be planned for 2024. Pending grant approval, the entire project would be in 2025 or 2026. They do it in a 2-year basis, so it could be in 1 year or the other. This number also includes the shared trail that was in the Parks and Recreation I split the two up into two different projects because sometimes they'll award funds for the trail. It reduces the cost of this project, and then it makes it cost effective for them to award this project as well. Some of our competitors have done that in the past. This is widening of and improving Buckner Tyrosine Road from Woodbury Drive to Duncan Road. It would take care of the intersection of Duncan and Buckner Tyrosine. Design is planned in 2024 using city's ARPA funds. Construction would follow in 2026, provided MoDOT funds can be procured. They've told us to apply for a 50-50 on that particular project. The 2027 pavement maintenance program includes edge mill and overlay of Woodbury Lane, which is the short section off of Duncan coming into Woodbury subdivision, Cedar Lane, Sweet Gum Court, Scenic Drive, Nelson Drive, Europa Drive, Minas Drive, Orion Drive, and Helen Court take care of that subdivision. And then patch and seal Willow Drive, Crestview Drive, August Lane, Cedar Court, and Nelson Drive. The main portion of Nelson Drive, the part that we would overlay is just the intersection at Buckner Tyrosine Road, which is starting to come apart. And then a portion of Scenic Lane that's newer than the other portions would receive a patch and seal. Planning to redo the scanning and condition report for all the roads in 2025. That was last performed in 2020 and is the basis of our road program currently. This would give us an update and provide us with a new ability to produce a new 5-year program. The Northeast Sewer Interceptor, I get a number of calls from developers and real estate people about property north of Duncan Road around Sweeney Drive, about whether or not sewer is available, which it is not. And that seems to be the one holdup from this area being eligible for development is the availability of sewer. So the idea is to plan to start the design and land acquisition in 2024, and then work with the landowners and developers to help fund the actual project. The area in blue is the area that would be served by the project. The brown line is where the mains would go. And it includes a lift station, which is why it's such an expensive project.
Is that north of the floodplain there?
That's, yeah, that whole intersection of Duncan and Sweeney contains a floodplain, because the creek runs right along Duncan Road, east of Sweeney, and that whole road is underwater. So it's another issue that the developers would have to deal with.
That's why I wondered where it'd be cost effective to put in sewer if it wouldn't get developed because of the flood issue.
Like I said, I've had a number of calls. There are areas that couldn't be developed because of the floodplain, but there's large portions of those 280-acre tracts that could be.
Okay. And none of this is in the city limits. It's just at this time.
At this time, no.
Okay.
It'd be an opportunity to bring it into the city limits and develop.
Well, we'd have to get developers to buy it and request it to come in. We couldn't just annex it.
That's correct. Right. So the idea before construction would start would be to get with the developers, start working those details out and get them to buy.
And going hand in hand with this, we are getting ready to get back the proposals for our comp plan update, which I'm sure is going to list this area for future development, since, you know, the one in 2014 did, but these kind of things are all kind of going hand in hand.
But I like the idea. I just don't want to commit money to a piece of property that's not in our city limits, won't receive taxes on, and, you know, that we don't have some commitment to recoup some of the expense for the rest of the taxpayers in town.
Yeah, and something similar to this that, you know, the city did quite a while back was the sewer interceptor that kind of runs northwest through the entire northern part of the city that was brought in, you know, Rosewood and those subdivisions that actually goes all the way up to the school district property. with things like this, the idea is typically you can maybe front it and go out and put it out, and then as things develop, you get that money, a per acre fee back or something like that. But it definitely would have to be identified as, a future development area. We'd go out and market that.
And the final project I'm gonna talk about is the Duncan Road box culvert replacement, which you passed the resolution allowing us to apply for a grant to do. This project was identified in our stormwater master plan update. The project itself cannot handle a 10-year storm, which is the normal design that has to handle at least a 10-year storm. For a road like this, it should handle a 25-year storm. And even during a 100-year storm, this road would have over a foot of water on top of it with the current box culvert. And with that, I'm sorry, we got the vehicle replacements. So community development vehicle replacements, pickup in 2023, the pool vehicle 2025, those are both 2012s. Replace the 2015 cars in 2027, 4x4, to get out onto projects for inspections. Police department, 2 patrol vehicles and a Crown Vic in 2023. In 2024, replace 2 cars and a pursuit vehicle. In 2025, 2 patrol utility vehicles, and in 2027, replace the animal control unit with a new animal control cage. For Parks and Recreation, 2016 mower, in 2023, 2012 pickup, and a 2007 flatbed trailer in 2024. Replace a 2018 riding mower in 2026. Replace their 2017 dump truck in 2027. Public Works, 2008 trailer, 2015 pickup, and the 2014 sewer inspection unit, which you see pictured here, in 2023. 2024, replace 2009 trailer and 2013 dump truck. Replace a 2015 pickup and a 2014 dump truck in 2025. Replace a 2015 pickup and a 2015 dump truck in 2026. And a 2015 pickup in 2027. And as I discussed earlier, the police department would like to begin replacing their firearms, budgeting $3,400 a year for the next 5 years to replace all of their Gen 4 firearms with 9mm Gen 5 firearms. With that, I'll try to answer any other questions.
Any questions, comments? All right,
Thank you.
thank you. Seeing none, and all in favor to approve, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Next up is resolution 22-52. It's a resolution by the Board of Aldermen of the City of Green Valley authorizing the city administrator to enter into a 48-month lease agreement with GFI Digital for sharp copier and printer equipment.
Mayor, I move that we approve resolution number R22-52.
Motion by Alderman Bass, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Alderman Arnold. Any discussion?
Mayor, members of the board, this is actually an unusual thing. So we were in a 5-year lease with Rico for our copiers throughout the city, and that agreement was coming up in September of this year. So Mark and his team with community development went out and looked at other options for copiers, and actually what we came back with is something that over the next 5 years should actually save $18,000 over our previous 5 years. So unusual in these times, but it was something that's good. So we've been testing it out for the last 3 weeks to a month probably to make sure that it was did everything that we needed to, and the results have been good with that. So we'd like to move forward with that agreement at this time.
Any questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Next up is resolution R22-53, a resolution by the Board of Aldermen of the City of Grand Valley, Missouri, authorizing the city administrator to approve a purchase for fence replacement at 3 water stations.
Mayor, I move that we approve resolution number R22-53.
I have a motion from Alderman Cleaver. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Alderman Mills. Any discussion?
Mayor, members of the board, we have 3 areas in town where we have, you see now it's the white vinyl fence, but it's covering the water valve stations. And although they look pretty good, they're not at all stable at this point. And the other issue we've run into is they don't really let air flow through. But we're to the point where that needs to be replaced. So this is something that we went over during budget time. But the proposal in front of you is to replace those with kind of that black chain link and have screening on them. That would be dark. And we think that'll be a better long-term option to let air through and to actually last longer than the vinyl that's there now. And those are at Snybar Parkway, Royer Lane, and Cross Creek Drive.
Have any questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Next up is resolution R 22-54, a resolution by the Board of Aldermen of the City of Grand Valley, Missouri, authorizing the city administrator to enter into an agreement with McCall Gordon Construction LLC for construction management services.
Mr. Mayor, I wholeheartedly move that we accept resolution R 22-54.
Got a motion by Alderman Knox, do I have a second?
I second.
Alderman Skinner. Any discussion?
Mayor, members of the board, as you remember, we put out an RFQ for construction manager services for the new police station project. We ended up interviewing 3 firms, McCown Gordon, Turner Construction, and Titan. And after going through their RFQ submittals, the interview, and the cost side of it, we made the decision to go with McCown Gordon for that project. So what you have now would be approving that agreement, and that would finalize our design team for the police station moving forward. So they would be working with Hafer Welker during that final design phase to make sure that we're going down the right path and get the most bang for our buck money-wise, so we don't have that kind of surprise at the end of the design cycle.
Any questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That's it for resolutions. Seeing no ordinances, move on to city attorney's reports.
Report tonight.
No report. Move on to city administrator and staff reports.
We're going to start with Mr. Craig.
I just wanted to thank all the staff that assisted during the audit process this year. It's been very time-consuming, and they did a great job. And overall, the city had a good year in 2021, and we're continuing that trend in 2022. The only other item I had was we are completing several of the required annual financial disclosures to the state auditor, the electronic municipal market access exchange, and the city's bond trustees. And that's all that I had for my report.
Mr. Tuttle.
We held our annual Public Works and Community Development event last Thursday, and I want to thank everybody for coming out and the sponsors. And the weather was great. We had approximately 160 people come to the event. Papa Murphy's provided 56 pizzas to feed the folks who showed up. And we've already drawn all the raffle prizes and notified the winners, and they've begun to pick up their prizes.
And just had a couple more things. Obviously, we have this, kind of big event coming up this weekend called the 4th of July, and fireworks shooting is always an issue, but I just wanted to remind the board that we do have an ordinance in place, and it's supposed to be 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. It'd be July 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. In a perfect world, everybody would follow those instructions. We know they don't, but obviously we'll have people out and try to do our best to make sure people are following those guidelines. But we've already put out a message on Facebook to try to remind people that there are guidelines in place. But hopefully everything goes smooth with that. It's a little easier being on a week, more or less over a weekend this time, so we don't have the split thing where we have to say it's available for a Saturday or something like that with the way we made the code. So it should be pretty clean and easy this time. The only other thing, this Friday we are having a staff appreciation lunch from 12 to 2, so City Hall will be closed. So we're going to have that back at the pavilion, but just kind of a way to say thanks to all of our staff for the job that they do. So we'll have food and some activities for that, but we'll put out a notice, let people know that City Hall will be closed for those 2 hours, so we didn't have anybody that was left behind. That was all the comments we had, Mayor.
Next up is Board of Alderman reports and comments. Alderman Arnold?
We might need to communicate with CJC about what our fireworks deals are, because they just put out a post that Green Valley has 7 days before the 4th for shooting off fireworks and ends on the 5th at 11 p.m.
Well, they're pretty close on the selling of fireworks.
They must be looking at the selling
But
part,
yeah, well- And the fireworks tents are supposed to be handing out a flyer to that, or have that info posted of what the legal times
You
are.
can reach out to Chief, can't you?
Yep.
Anything else, Alderman Arnold? Is that it, Alderman Arnold?
That's all for now.
All right, Alderman Mills,
Nothing at this time.
Alderman Bass,
Nothing at this time.
Alderman Skinner,
Nothing at this time.
Alderman Knox,
I have nothing at this time.
Alderman Cleaver.
Nothing at this time.
Okay. Next up is mayor's reports. First off, I just want to thank everyone for their work with the Public Works nights. Weather was really nice. It's surprising. I was afraid there it was going to be like 100 degrees because it was all week. But so that was good. Nice turn. Everyone, enjoyed the evening. The kids loved honking the horns on the equipment. I think I heard horns in my sleep for 2 nights afterwards. Next up, one thing we've been doing, I have one of them, but Teresa, Ken, and I are starting to sit down with all the local developers in town and having developer meetings with the kind of, get their feedback of, what we can be doing as a city to help them, those types of things. We had our first one of those last week, went really well. I don't want Ken's head to get too big, but the developer who does a lot of work in other cities did say that Grand Valley was the easiest city to work with. Of course, they may tell everybody that, I don't know. That was good to hear.
The
So we
community
have another one
development-
coming up this week,
The
so we'll
community
see.
development staff is very good.
We'll hear if we, see if we hear the same thing this week, but we'll know that we're doing that and, working with them, and hopefully that'll, some good will come out of those. Next up, I did have a couple of calls about, I know this was a topic at the Parks Board meeting, and Alderman Arnold could probably discuss it, but about Legacy Plaza and a couple of things going on up there. We had some concerns because at Memorial Day, I know a couple of the flags were kind of tattered, and we discovered that, like with a lot of other things right now, finding all of those, different flags from all the branches of the military are difficult. So we were working on sourcing those and having extra sets on hand. And the plan going forward is to replace those flags before every Memorial Day and then before every Veterans Day. So we have a plan of that moving forward. That way the flags don't get in that shape again. And I know there's also been concerns about the area around the plaza there, where if you're driving down 40 Highway and look over, you might think, oh, that's just a weeded area they're not mowing. Well, it's really not. It's a conservation area, and representatives, correct me if I'm wrong, representatives of the Missouri Department of Conservation have come out and looked at it and said, hey, that looks great. That's the way it's supposed to look. And I know it kind of deters the geese from getting up there on the plaza and doing their business that we don't want them to do up there. So, I know we're, kind of just pressing that to people. So that's the reason that looks like the way it does. Ken and I have talked about maybe putting some signs out there that you might see on a golf course or whatever that identify it as a native grassland area, so people know that we're just not mowing it. And I think as the flowers come in and start to bloom, it will start looking better. So if you get any calls about that, that's the reason that is the way it is. It is an actual conservation area there. So, and we'll continue to monitor that and see if we need to do anything different in the future. So that is all I have for this evening. I believe we do have a need for an executive session.
We do 1 legal, 3 personnel, and 13 personnel.
Okay. That being said, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn into executive session.
Mr. Murphy, can we do
Alderman Arnold, a
two
second.
as well?
2, sorry, real estate.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Okay. First, I got a motion by Alderman Arnold. I have a second.
Second.
Second, Alderman Knox. Any discussion? Any roll call?
Alderman Arnold,
Yes.
Alderman Bass,
Yes.
Alderman Cleaver,
Yes.
Alderman Knox,
Yes.
Alderman Mills,
Yes.
Alderman Skinner.
Yes.
All right, we're in executive session.